Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Deli. I'm your host, Mando. I'm here with a special guest and a new friend. His name is Jason Shell out of the DMV. Welcome, Jason. How are you today?
I'm absolutely amazing, Mondo. Absolutely amazing, man. Thank you for having me on. I sincerely appreciate it. And man, how are you?
I'm doing great. You know what I'm saying? I always stay inspired and motivated by the people I surround myself with, and you're just one of them I'm being surrounded by now.
Thank you, bro.
let
Thank
me
you.
let me let me share a quick story of our how we kind of met without meeting at first. So obviously, we belong to the same mastermind community. It's called Owners Club with Pace and Jamil. Shout out to them. And we're having our inaugural. We was having our inaugural Owners Club meetup in Scottsdale, Arizona, about a month and a half ago. I was in contact with another member in Owners Club that was we were gonna meet up and share an Uber ride when we land in Arizona. I communicated with her in the airport. Hey, I land at so and so time. She hit me back. I think we're having some mechanical problems or whatever. I'll be delayed. I say, hey, best of luck. I'll see you when you come back when you land. Fine. I land in in Scottsdale. I turn my phone on and I see Jason's on the thread.
Yeah.
All right. And then Jason's on the thread, and I land at 9 o'clock, and I turn my phone, it's 9 o'clock, right? 9 o'clock in the morning. And I see Jason. So I say hi. We started engaging. He say, I just landed. I said, I just landed too. And so I was like, are we on the same plane? I was like, and we were not in the same plane, but it felt like that because we answered each other simultaneously. And then we happened to meet up in a baggage claim with some other members as well. And we shared a ride to the retreat. And we kind of immediately built a bond with each other, and we was relating our talking about our moms.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he had a piece, he had a chain, and I guess a memorial piece of something his mom gave him, and I had one as well. So we shared something. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality of life. But it built a connection, right? So an understanding, and this is just in a on an Uber ride to the hotel. So, and at the end, it was like me and him really bonding. The other two fellas are they're there, but me and him would just started kicking it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and then later on that evening, since he was kind of the real familiar face, one of the familiar faces that I knew, he was sitting by the bar, and I see him by the bar, and I walk up to him. He's like I said, one of the familiar faces. My initial meeting, right? So I just rolled up to him and we created a bond, and us and the rest of the fellas been inseparable since,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Our
Uh,
destiny brought us together.
exactly. Everything happens for a reason, bro. Everything
Absolutely.
happens for a reason. That's a fact. I believe that in my heart. So yeah, it's been awesome. It really has ever since, bro. We've just been connecting between myself, the podcast we had with me, you,
Dana, Michael,
Dana, Mike,
Paul, the Owners
me.
Club Roundtable.
Exactly. The round table. Shout out to the round table. Check it out. They're gonna kill me that I don't know the schedule it is, but
Wednesdays at 9. We record at Wednesdays at 9. That's where we stay. That's our time slot, and then we disseminate the pod during the week. But that's kind of something that happened to us organically as well.
yeah,
After one of the events on the retreat, we were just sat back and reflected, and we just all six of us sat down and we turned on the recorder, and that recording became our first episode.
yeah, yep, yep,
Right?
yep,
It happened.
yeah,
It just happened naturally. We just turned on the the phone and the camera, and it became something out of nothing
yeah,
organically,
yep,
right? And
yep.
we've been off to the races and connected ever since.
That's
You
man.
know what I'm
It's
saying?
just gonna get bigger and bigger, bro. It's gonna
Right?
get bigger and bigger, man.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we first engaged and how we first met. So Jason, tell me a little about yourself. I know you're in the DMV area. Let's get into that. What drove you into real estate, and what is that you do now as well?
All right. So, yeah, my name is Jason Shell. I'm from DC originally, born and raised in Northeast, little area called Trinidad. Um, what got me into real estate was pretty much it had to, well, my W-2 more than likely, really. I work a lot of overtime, what have you. So it got to a point where, my job said, they just pretty much had cut it out. And, me not thinking ahead, I was kind of dependent on that overtime. When they cut it, I got mad, So let me rewind a little bit, actually.
Sure.
This Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? I actually
Okay.
read that book first. Yeah, I read that book first. Like everybody else, it's a real estate Bible.
Yes,
Like,
it is.
so, Rich Dad Poor Dad, read that book. Actually, went down to Richmond and for a meetup down there. What it's a seminar they had. It was one of the basic ones they give to introduce you to it, and got hooked. Signed up for another one up here, and heard about wholesaling. I mean, and this was years ago. I'm not even sure if it was called wholesaling. I think it was. I heard the guy said, they talk about all other kinds of things in there too, stocks and what have you. But what sparked my interest was contract and lead of do. I think he described it as. So I like, man, you could get paid off of just a piece of paper and in a contract and selling it. So I went out, and this was before skip tracing was even a thing, bro. I had no idea how to find the person that was selling the houses. So I went around my neighborhood, and oh my goodness, man, hindsight, I wish I'd have not, I don't want to say gave up, but dug a little deeper, because at the time back then, it was so many abandoned homes in my area where I grew up at.
Mm.
And you fast forward to now, man, it's one of those neighborhoods that you pretty much is gentrified, and it's just blown up, like a lot of the neighborhoods in urban areas, the market, it just blew up. So, uh, but let me rewind out a little, well, fast forward a little bit, actually. So, get to my W-2, I'm working, I'm maybe about 10 years into the company at that point, and working overtime. Now I could get to that point, working overtime, and they cut it. And I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad at the time, and that got me thinking, like, you know what, I can't be mad at them. It's not my company, so they can do what they want with their company. I can't say yes or no. You should do things A, B, C, D, because it's not my company.
Sure.
They could say, hey, we're cutting out the overtime and whatever. So that got in my head, like, you know what? I have to build my own company. I have to be dependent more so on myself as opposed to them and what's going on with, the company I work for, which is Verizon. Shout out to Verizon. Verizon, they have gotten me to, a point where I am now, providing me with a lot, benefits and everything like that. So,
Sure.
my house, my family, I get everything that I really want for the most part, So, but in any case, uh, you know, uh, they cut the overtime out, and that's what got me into it. And fast forward a little bit more, I get to a point where I'm working probate deals, going to the court building, and going to find a probate list. So at that point, this was right before the pandemic, uh, where you could go in the court building and put a probate list and find the actual person that's the not the trustee, but they're in charge of the property, pretty much, right? So, uh, unfortunately, someone transitioned, and whether it be the son or whoever or the daughter, now they're in charge of the property. So at that point, this was February of 2020. Yeah, January, February of 2020, right? And what actually got me into it, I hate to backtrack a little bit. my mom had just transitioned. So I was going through a change and like, okay, let me try to cope with this, some kind of way. And
Sure.
I got to think, well, everybody has to go through that. Everybody has to, pass on the transition, or every single one of us. So
That's
I'm
right.
like, well, let me think about this in terms of real estate, and that's what led me to probates. She transitioned in December 2019. I got on that move in January 2020, and was actually getting some traction. Bam, COVID hits and shuts everything down. The core
Yeah.
buildings, you can't move right at that point. So I'm like, man, I got to figure something out. I don't just want to give up. And I know I'm being long winded out.
No, so then then you're there, and then you say, now what's your next step? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The world ended. I have this itch for real estate
Yep.
that I kind of been fostering. I've
Yep.
been dabbling on it, right, in my spare time.
Yep. Yep.
And where
Exactly.
do you go from here, right?
I go
And
to
what was your next step?
TTP. I found Brent Daniels,
Okay,
right?
shout out to
So
Brent.
exactly, found Brent Daniels, man, wholesaling, not wholesaling hotline at the time, but
He's the host. He's
uh,
one of the hosts.
it was
TTP.
TTP. Yeah, joined TTP and found, he taught me about skip tracing and I mean a lot of things, wholesaling, and just stepped my wholesaling game up that much more. So man, and Brent actually gave me the foundation for wholesaling and let me know that real estate is the best way we can actually help people. There's so many different ways to help people via like distressed homes, foreclosure, like the probate situations. Now and but that well, Brenda was probate and distressed homes for the most part, right? And cold calling them to see how you can help, and doing and some door knocking too as well. But it was based mostly on cold calling. And with my job, I didn't I it was hard for me to time block for that, and
Sure.
I'll fast forward, I'll get to the overtime.
And that's one of the struggles, having a 9 to 5 and
Yep,
allocating family time,
yep,
and then working on your endeavors, right? Let's say your future
exactly.
endeavors, your business,
Hmm.
kind of buying yourself out of your job and creating a new opportunity. And
Right.
that's a struggle that a lot of solopreneurs encountered, having employment and trying to now
Hmm.
create an opportunity from a pain that you experienced. Let's say your overtime was cut. Now you're trying to see how I can figure some of this stuff out. So obviously now you dabble into real estate, you acquiring all this knowledge, you did TTP. Uh what was the next step? Did you join another community, or did you, because eventually you landed in a different place, right? That's
Yeah,
how we kind of merged where we met, right?
exactly. So found out that, cold calling takes time. I mean, what we do as well takes time, but you really have to dedicate yourself to making those phone calls. And, it could, I'll talk to anybody. I really will. It's just, you'll get told no, you get rejected. That's going to happen in the game. That's just a game.
Part of the
But
business.
that being said, I work late. I get off at like 7 in the evening, sometimes even later. So the only time I would have to do it is in the mornings. And, that didn't really work for me. I'm cold calling from, I didn't want to stop before 9,
Yeah, you
so
just have those odd hours to
exactly.
communicate, right?
Right,
It
right.
just
So
didn't mesh, right? It just wasn't aligning with
ex-
kind of what the norm is, let's say.
exactly. Not for me anyway.
Not for you, yeah.
I know stories where, all right, well, I'm gonna just do this on these days and
Yeah,
they make it work. But for
yeah.
me, it just, it wasn't working for me.
And
So
but then again, like I said, then how did you get into Pace's world and Pace's universe?
I was just about to get to that. So, well, sorry, and I hate to draw this out. I did join another community after Brent. Actually, it was Storm Leroy, shout out to Storm. And
I'm part of that as well. I've been part of
yeah,
that as well.
that's my guy, man. He gave me another foundation, taught me everything it is to know about investing in out of state real estate. I
Very
mean,
smart as well in what he does.
yeah, yep, told me about trust
Shout out to
funds,
Stormy. Yep.
right,
multiple
property management.
LLCs, how to put your LLCs, your property man,
Yes.
your three
Yep.
LLCs,
Yep.
right? So
Yep. Yep.
you know the deal. So shout out to Stormy. You know, he provides a lot of value as well. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
So
100%.
you now you compounded. Now you got Stormy under your belt, and
Yep.
then you did all that,
Yep.
obviously, and then Pace shows up somewhere.
Yeah, so with Storm Day, bigger pockets is a big thing, that I would use. And, when I was working with Storm, I would go into bigger pockets, do my real estate calculations and, the rental meter, what have you. But pretty much through bigger pockets, Pace was offering a summer boot camp, right?
Okay.
For, I forget how much it was, but in any case, I got on the boot camp with Pace and, like, oh man, and Pace and Brent worked together, back then. And, even back then, Pace came along and was like, man, cold calling is what it is, but it sucks. The way I do things it's better. It's no way, it's just hands down better.
Sure.
Right. So fast forward to the boot camp and, it's the same thing, but he's growing and growing and growing. Of course, it's Pace and that's, it's not nothing holding back. But, the analogy he gave during the boot camp was like, man, look, why would you have one strategy as far as cold calling when you could go with creative and I would he what he said was pretty much like you have a putter, right? Or if I don't know if you play golf or it's an analogy with with cold calling is just like having a driver pretty much where you just you're just hitting. But with creative you got the whole way of clubs. You got your putter, you got your irons, you got your driver, you got your wedges, you got so many different ways to deal with buying a home and creative, and that's, once I got into the
You got the whole toolbox.
exactly. You got so many different strategies you can use to buy a home and creative. So got into that, ended up buying Wealth Without Cash, read that, and was like really into it. But at the same time, I'm still in the other community. But I was like, you know what, man, this I was into it for a good little while, man. But it just it wasn't my passion. It really wasn't my passion. My passion was really like wholesaling and really trying to help people via that route. Wholesaling and what have you. So Pace offered the Gator community came up in October, I want to say it was of last year. Joined the Gator community, because I found that and, just start following Pace again on YouTube and what have you. And joined Gator in October, heard about Squad Up, he was pushing Squad Up and like, okay, since I'm a Gator, it only makes sense, to join, go to the Squad Up Summit. And I was still following Jamil, or not following Jamil so much, but I heard about him and okay, this a community coming together, or a couple of communities coming together. We go to Squad Up, check it out. With the Squad Up, man, it was mind blowing. It was, I mean, the speakers alone were awesome. I mean, really awesome. But the main thing that I took away was the networking opportunity, man. It was, I mean, never been a part of anything like that. And I've been to a few of them, as far as meetups, what have you, but this was the vibe was this.
You had to be there.
Yeah, right. Of course. Oh, yeah, right. That's what got us here.
There were so many people. It's 3,000 people that we didn't even get a chance to meet. It was so many people.
Right, bro.
4 days. I come back. Everyone lost their voice. You talk to someone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's so many people, so little time.
Yeah, and that's actually where I met Dana, Ali, Paul, and Mike. Right. So we hooked up there. They offered owners opportunity this opportunity that we're in right now, which is awesome. The Owners Club. Like, man, since I'm in this, I mean, I couldn't pass it up. It was that great of an opportunity, man. I just couldn't pass it up. So,
yes, sir.
Join Owners Group, and and I guess I don't want to say here we are, but the
journey and the journey continues, right?
Exactly.
Like I see you've been alluding to some of those books back there. What reads do you have, and do you have any go-tos or
Yeah,
Oh,
man,
oh,
definitely.
what are you working with?
This one would probably be the one I go to like all the time. I've gone back and forth with this book, man. So I do Audible a lot, but I had if I get a book and I need to get the hard copy of this, if I
Okay.
listen to a book, I have to go out and actually purchase the hard copy of it, because it affected me that much. So this Seven Habits is easily my go-to. Another one would be Outwitting the Devil, right? This one here is Napoleon Hill. I'm not too many. A lot of people know Think and Grow Rich, but
Yes.
this one is a sleeper, man. I
Okay.
mean,
I never
it
heard that
gets
one.
deep. Yeah, Outwitting the Devil, it gets deep, man. It's yeah, that's another one that I love. Uh, another one. Where is it, man? Oh, you know what? I'd be wrong if I didn't. Right, right. If I did show my man.
How does these book have impacted you, and what have you drawn from them?
So I'll go back to the Seven Habits, right? And that one has taught me, man. It's something that I tell my daughter, I tell everybody, most people that I know, man. Uh, Understand before being understood, right? And it just emphasizes. I mean, it teaches a lot, but what it does emphasize is, I just pretty much say one of his quotes or what he teaches. You got people that we taught how to do everything. You taught how to. We're not so much taught how to walk, but you're taught how to read. You're taught how to speak. You're taught how to do math.
A
You're
lot of
taught how.
learned behavior.
Exactly. You're taught so many different things. The one thing nobody ever teaches is how to listen. I mean, and really, really actually listen and understand people. That part isn't taught anywhere. It's not. So
Yeah.
you got a rare group of people that'll actually stop and listen to what you have going on with your life, because human nature. Another one I have is How to Win Friends and Influence People, but they kind of tie together. And How to Win Friends and Influence People is according there where he teaches in that book. I forget the author's name, but people are caught up in their own lives so much, and this is just human nature. Where you get that conversation with someone, and you may say a problem that you're having, and they'll hop in and say, "Well, man, look, oh man, you have this going on. Listen to what I have going on. That you think you have problems. Listen to what I have going on."
Yeah.
So uh, what I want to do is again listen. I mean, understand before being understood. So what I like to do really is just listen more so to people than what they have going on in their lives. It's I feel as though it's not enough of that. It's just not enough people that really empathically listen and try to understand what you're going through. So uh,
Yeah, I've never heard that like that before. That we're not taught to listen, right? And you're right. I'll be honest. I'm not a good listener. Let's say that's not a strong suit of mine. Let's say.
even
I was never mindful. Let's say of that. I've
mhm,
never put emphasis on it, right?
mhm.
But now that you planted the seed, maybe there's some growth to be developed there as well. So
Yeah,
thank you
well,
for the insight. I
no
appreciate
problem.
it. You know what I'm
No,
saying? Like I said, we're always trying to figure something out.
yeah,
It's all a journey, right? Of self-discovery, right? This, the life we live, and whatever industry you pick. Again, it's all kind of self-discovery and
mhm,
how you grow on the journey to get better, right? And to
yeah,
do better and be better, right? So
exactly.
so I appreciate that insight.
Um,
And thank you. Now you're telling me your journey in the real estate. You're telling me where your strength lies and where you're going to kind of lead into what side of the business, kind of the wholesaling side. That's kind of where kind of where you're going to grow your business at. And where do you see your business in the next 3 to 5 years?
So glad you spoke on that. So wholesaling is where I want to start,
Okay.
but I don't plan on making it like a full-time thing eventually,
Okay.
So I'm a newbie. and I'm I'm just kind of I've been studying the game for years, but I'm still a newbie into it, especially when it comes to creative finance. And I'm so grateful that I did find Pace, because now I'm working as a director agent. I'm calling agents up and working teaching them how to do creative financial, not teaching them, but you know, uh, opening their minds up to it. So in a few years, my plan is to, since I'm a newbie, I would like to wholesale 5 and hold the 6. So it'll be buy and hold in the next 3 to 4 years or what have you. And eventually I just don't want to wholesale any of them and just hold them all, So that's
Sure.
the plan, to just shrink that wholesaling thing down to none. Now start here, start with wholesaling a lot, and like I said, hold the 6, and eventually just hold them all.
Yeah, that's it's always the plan, right? Yeah, that's kind of where a lot of let's say newer people in the industry start is in wholesaling, right? Just to doing a lot transactional moves, let's say, right? That's a very transactional business, right? So you always have to be very active to build up that machine. So then and then you kind of have a plan already, sell 5 and hold 1 and start building up that little empire in the background, and
Sure. Yes, sir.
start making a difference, in your family's lives, where you know what I'm saying. And real estate is you buy and you sit and wait.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
buy and you sit and wait, and time will take care of itself, right? And then it all compounds, and then 10 years later you be like, voila, oh wow, look at all these opportunities I can now, let's say,
Yeah.
use equity or all that. You can leverage the equity on the properties and all these different opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate the tax loopholes and advantages, so
Yeah.
many opportunities in real estate, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great outlook and perspective and where you're going. Again, I'd like to thank you for joining us today, right?
Thank
I
you.
like for expressing your story and telling us your journey,
Mhm.
especially coming from a someone who's just kind of entering the field, right? So we always like perspective of people who have a job. I call it their superpower, right? And are transitioning